Hi students, it's Dr. Newmark here. I'm recording you a brief video about the white paper assignment. So that is the last major assignment of the semester, and on the screen right now you can see the assignment prompt. Now I'm going to assume that you've read the assignment prompt in its entirety, so I'm not going to reread it in this assignment, but I'm going to focus on some crucial features of it. So a white paper is a genre in technical communication that can generally be categorized in the report category, although it is not necessarily arguing anything, selling anything, or recommending anything, although some versions of white papers do that. They're generally formal reports that are used maybe in a policy context or in a think tank context or in pharmaceutical development or public health information in any of these kinds of contexts to share insight based on research about a topic to elevate the level of understanding about that topic. So you are going to be writing a white paper in a category that the white paper guy, the internet's that white paper guy, he calls it a backgrounder. So I really encourage you to go to the white paper guy's website and click around. He's really, really interesting, and he has a blog that also has some really interesting entries like this one I loved, which is about a white paper that he found from 1818 from the British Library. And he remarks on how some of the genre conventions and visual mechanisms that we are accustomed to seeing in white papers even are recognizable in a white paper of over 200 years ago. So here's another page from his website, which I also link, called White Paper FAQs, Frequently Asked Questions. So there's lots of content here. It's an incredible resource. Your textbook doesn't go into white papers very deeply, which is why I had to supplement that textbook resource with these other online resources, which are quite robust. I also put in the class, I think this week or last week, some additional websites that relate to writing white papers, so be sure you look at those as well. So again, this does fit into the formal report category, which is quite a broad category, and it brings together concise textual communication and visual communication tropes, as it were, to help organize the information and allow your readers, whether they're experts or non-experts, whether they're primary readers, secondary readers, or tertiary readers, to all extract what they need from a document in the most efficient way possible. And they will be able to be enlightened to a degree about the information that you are sharing with them. So I want to recommend that you choose a topic for this assignment that is interesting to you. So I suggest that you maybe revisit something from earlier in the class, or you think about connections between something in a disciplinary area you're really passionate about, if it's not technical communication, and this class, Introduction to Professional Communication. So here are some ideas that I share here. Revisiting a theme from within your larger data visualization project, maybe something in there really piqued your interest. You can investigate one skill or technology that's used in the field of technical communication today, and you can explore best practices in resume composition or some other genre that's quite at home in our field, or one of the foundational genres of our field, and outline some best practices within that genre. So you are connecting a specific, more focal area of interest to larger concerns in technical and professional communication. And you might want to frame it as a question just to get you started. Not that you would necessarily be asking this in the white paper, but as I note here, you're not asking a yes or no question. So here are some options that I just proposed here. You don't have to take these. I actually encourage you not to take these because they're just examples, but here they are. So what are some benefits and dangers of AI usage in the composition and review of resumes in the technical communication field today? What are some best practices for the usage of data visualization in nonprofit grant proposals today? How might we better prepare technical communication students for workplace realities in the field of TPC today, given the need for both textual and visual communication skills? So those are just some general ideas that I brought forward in this assignment. So this is 6 to 7 pages long, and it has 6 scholarly research sources, which you're going to cite in this report. So all of the details of the assignment are listed here. so I'm not going to go through them here. The last thing I want to share with you in this very brief video is two examples from previous students that were really excellent. They weren't flawless, but they were excellent. And they're already in the class. So I'm just drawing your attention to them once again in this assignment. So what I wanted to do here was amplify some of the resources that I shared already in class and professional resources like the ones from that white paper guy's website and the two previous student examples. So this one is from Molly Johnston. She had worked in the gaming industry prior to returning to university. And hers was really interesting in a visual sense and in terms of the information that she was conveying. So technical writing in video games. And she actually has sort of a construct beneath that larger title that concerns women's roles in video gaming. I know that was a concern of hers, so it pervades this to a certain degree. So she has, again, an overarching, really powerful and clean design, one that relates directly to the content of her report. She has a table of contents, and she has a background on the industry. She has some call out text here and a call out question. You can see her citation there. And then she has a heading hierarchy. She's using a certain visual sort of coding for the primary level headings and then a secondary level heading hierarchy. She has some images and they're appropriately captioned, and she's using bolding in a strategic fashion, and she's using nice, concise little chunks of text in terms of her paragraphing strategy. She sets up quotes really nicely with attributive tags like, to further back this assertion, Dr. Seth Hudson of George Mason University says that blah, blah, blah. And then she has a nice citation there. She organizes and sort of like breaks up the visual field by organizing some key concepts in these graphic boxes that she has here. And then she has an annotated image, which is really interesting as well. You can look through this on your own and see the way that she is bringing together a lot of the learning from across the semester, a lot of the skills we've practiced into a single assignment, this white paper. Okay, so the last one I'm going to show you is by Michael Chavez, and he is a languages student, and he's very interested in translation. So AI and machine translation was his topic. So you see, again, he uses a really nice and coherent visual approach to this report, balancing interesting color, sort of page organization strategies with the text components that need to be there. Again, he's like Molly was bolding certain terms that were really crucial. He's using blue to identify terms that are really important in this. Again, he also has a clearly perceptible heading hierarchy. He gives a background on machine translation. He has this little visualization here. It's a timeline from this source, and he cites it there. And then he goes into offering much more information about this issue. This is a really important issue in the field right now. So he's providing this backgrounder for people to read this one paper and get some semblance of a background on this larger issue. And he points them to other resources that they can learn more about it if they're interested in. Here he uses a data visualization. Again, this is another skill that we practice this semester. So in general, you get the idea. So both of these are really, really nicely done, and that's why I asked these students to give me permission to share them with you. So you need to be sure you're at work on this assignment now, start strategizing for a refined topic, and start thinking about the research sources that you're going to bring to bear on the larger background that you are presenting via this report about the topic that you've chosen. So good luck on this assignment, and I look forward to reading it.